pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Blower?
Yes.
Trustee McGurran?
Yes.
Trustee Young?
Yes, ma'am.
Meeting ground rules. Gathering information to produce the 2025 appropriation budget. There will be no final decisions made at this meeting. Public access is for viewing only. Participation will not be allowed. Fiscal Officer, Roy Smith.
All right, so for just to lay the groundwork, except for the current 2024 beginning year balances, all the revenues and expenses for the current year are through October 31st of 2024. So this is our best estimate and guess. Ending balances for the current year are strictly projected estimates. And all figures for the budget year 2025 are estimates. Just as a note, we will, in December, we will have the board adopt the budget and temporary budget and temporary appropriations. And that will get us started through the year. And we tend to budget for the full year and then amend everything again in April, prior to April of 2025. So we will not be just encumbering like the first quarter of revenues and expenses. We're budgeting to the best of our ability for 2025, but we will finalize everything before April when we have actual and carryover balances and things like that. We'll finalize. That's how that works. For purposes of discussion, capital expenditures are defined as property acquisitions, new building construction, major facility renovations, public work projects, and heavy rolling equipment. Generally, heavy rolling equipment is defined as expensive integral equipment, which is typically not used on a daily basis. These expenditures are no longer automatic expenditures encumbered to the general fund, with the expectation that each department would be able to budget and pay for if it was appropriate. When the adopting budget resolution is approved, it is understood that the department heads have permission to purchase any and all items approved under the resolution. Any desired expenditures which were not approved under the adoption resolution must be handled through the fiscal officer's purchase order procedures. So with that, does everybody kind of understand how and why? I know we might have some questions going forward through this process. Be advised that, we do have some shrinking balances in some departments, not necessarily all. Carryovers, we like to see a healthy carryover, but nothing that exceeds like potentially 2 years worth of potential expenditure estimates. In most cases, we don't have to worry about that, but, and then we have potential increases from outside sources such as grants and grant opportunities, and each department head is encouraged to seek as many of those opportunities as possible. So I'm not sure, there's the item overall budget summary explanation. I don't know if anybody needs any additional information, would like to ask any questions about the process before Paul begins his portion of the budget presentation.
I like how you printed out yellow and black like a road.
No, that was not my design, but
I like how big enough you can read it.
I said the same thing for this year.
yeah, for anybody who's the small pages, this is a win-win. Yeah.
Yes.
Over previous years. So hearing no questions, seeing no questions, I'm happy to let Superintendent Gilroy take it from here.
One question before we start.
Sure.
Are we on the air like the meeting?
Yes, until we get to personnel issues, and then we'll go into executive session, and then we will
Turn it off.
turn the cameras off. So any specific salary or personnel, save till the end.
All right, everybody start with the revenue page. There's been a couple of changes to our revenue this year to the good. First one, the gasoline tax fund is at 160,000. That is steady, same as last year. The road and bridge fund, which is tied to our property taxes and that big old increase we had. So that one has went up, almost 100,000, right? Yeah. So we got about $100,000 increase in that fund. There isn't, I mean, unless you guys have questions, I don't really know what further to tell you than to just follow along with the numbers.
I would point out for trustees McGurran and Young, the encumbered amount in green,
Yep.
that is the most current, that is the deductible for each employee, which it started at 16.5. And that's what is remaining on the purchase order as of this moment. That is still subject to change between now and I will continue to whack that number until we have to finally adopt the budget. So that is a moving target. That will be carried over to next year. We will keep that purchase order open because claims typically anymore take 6 months to come through. So any doctor's visit in December, you may not even get a bill for it till March or June even. So
And the line in the middle there that's in green, is that supposed to be a red?
no,
That was just to remind us to update it.
yeah, that's more of a. Yeah. It is a red number because that comes against your.
So it's basically, it's a hair less than what last year's was.
Mhm. Well, and our deductible is much smaller.
And the total road operating funds are 112 more than last year,
Pretty much, yeah. I still am being,
give or take.
I'm being, and advise Paul to be a little more conservative. Let me,
Project our income numbers a little low.
right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm reading it right. We don't need anything.
The auditor's amounts and rates has the road and bridge fund projected at 489. So at 450, we're still conservatively low. And then on the road district fund, which is on the next page, that is 97,000 and we estimated 9. So we keep them. It's not a hard and fast rule and there's not a hard and fast number, but I think those are definitely achievable. And then the number in red on property tax allocation, that's rollbacks. So we still get money from the state of Ohio on the owner occupied credit, the non-business credit and homestead. So any of the folks out there who take advantage of those exemptions, the state of Ohio continues to reimburse us. And those are our best guess estimates and looking at what we received this year. They're probably a little low.
Move on to the second page there, we have a total of 5 funds for the department, so those are the next 3. And we've got 18.8, total of 108, and 112. So down at the bottom is the big number that we're all looking for. The total income is 899,000 approximately. Questions on the revenue?
Yeah. The top two are both up from 24.
Yeah, the 18.8 is a little increase from 17. I think.
Right. The other one's 76. And that's up 32K.
Right, those, the second one is also tied to property taxes, and that's why the first one.
And then the third one is a motor vehicle permissive.
Yes,
That's up 33. Okay.
Yeah, and
Give or take.
give or take, yes.
Okay.
I basically go back and look and see what we've collected over the prior 3 years. And again, this is our best guess. And I tend to err on the side of low as to high.
The last year, our total revenue was 1,027,000, but that included 273 from ARPA.
Correct.
And that's why we're
That's why
That's
we're,
why it's low.
128K lower. But last year, 273, almost 274 was ARPA. So the difference is what we're,
well, then we also put some of our additional ARPA money. There was the county, the 273 came from the county.
Yeah.
And then we directed ARPA funds of our own towards road projects that had to be counted as revenue. And I want to say that was 800 something thousand. So we had almost $1 million alone last year in ARPA funds that we expended in 24 calendar year.
okay.
These are our normal looking numbers.
This one is without the ARPA.
Correct. And these are still elevated over prior years because of the property tax increase.
So now we're back to operating without ARPA.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay.
We're-
The expenses. First one is the gasoline tax fund. You guys are looking at the same paper. I don't want to read everyone. I usually highlight on the right-hand side anything that's changed from the previous year. The very first one there, professional and technical services. Every 3 years, we do a road survey from an independent contractor that comes out and helps me with my pavement management system. And he surveys the roads. That's every 3 years. So that is not in there this year because it's an odd year. He did it last year, so. There's $2,000 there for tree work in the right of way, and that may get used, it may not. It's just an expense we ran into at one point when we had to take a big tree down that we had to pay somebody to do because it was by the wires. So we started budgeting for that. Let's see. We got our normal training, dumpster fee, ground maintenance. Sending vehicles out for repair is, I got it at $15,000. It is a best guess. We don't know. Times in dump trucks really get expensive if they get into something we can't fix. And knock on wood, we won't have that. Moving down here.
How was it that you were able to get your propane gas down $5,000?
We looked at what we actually spent versus what we thought it was spent last year, and we made the adjustments.
Good.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, I should have brought last year's to compare like you're doing there, but, day-to-day needs, we increased that a little bit just for the price of everything that's gone up. Our salt is 54,600 there. That's based on 700 tons at $78 a ton, which the county and everybody else is paying $95 a ton. But we get ours from ODOT.
Because you have that thing down there,
Right.
that house.
And everybody actually has the opportunity to be on ODOT's contract if they want, but nobody seems to take advantage of that. We did it even before we had the barn for a couple of years. And hopefully we won't use any salt, just for the record.
So you kept your gasoline road, this fund, basically the same as last year, actually just ahead of it last year.
Yeah, I budgeted out, there was 160 income, we got 157.
Okay.
So
Good.
we was right there. And the next one is the road and bridge, and the first chunk there is all the salary stuff we'll talk about later. And there isn't, if you'll notice, there's a lot of these lines that say the same thing, so you have the opportunity to either take it out of this fund or take it out of this fund. So when I'm going through it and trying to balance it out, I choose which fund it comes from there. Don't know. increases. Let's see. Parts for vehicles, I'm sure that one went up a little bit, 16,000. We have an in-house, crack sealing, in-house versus contract. So we normally spend around $15,000 on a crack seal contract, paying it to a guy that does it on state bid. He couldn't do it this year. He said he just can't find the help, and I couldn't find anybody else that was even close to his price. So looking ahead for next year, if that guy still doesn't do it, then we'll have to pick it up ourselves. And obviously, as far as the expense, it's cheaper, but then we end up picking up the work ourselves. Well, that, I'll just have to see come next summer if he can help us out again or not.
Before we skip a page, the second item at the top, the pension cost, is that in another place?
Yeah, that'll
this
be under
year's?
personnel,
Okay.
and it's an automatic calculation.
Everything in the shaded area is automatically calculated from the personnel page.
Okay,
So
you're gonna save $7,000 on 4016, by doing it in-house?
if we go that route, yes. The difference is when we do it in-house, we have to buy the material from the company and they loan us the machine to put it down because we don't have a crack sealing machine. And it's a 3-man job and it's very time consuming. The guy that does it on state bid price, he has a machine that has 2 wands on the back, so he's running it twice as fast. He comes in from up around Lima, comes down here, he puts in a 10 or 12 hour shift, and they knock it out so much faster than we can get done. And we're at the mercy of that company and when they can let us have a machine, because most of the townships use that thing, and we're not one of the bigger ones, so we don't get it first. We kind of get it when everybody else is done.
If it saves $7,000, does it put a stress on your employees to be able to find time to do it?
Well, that's the first reason we subbed it out to begin with, was because, if we spend 2 weeks and if it rains, you can't do that job. So you're every time you get a good weather day, you're going to run and do this instead of doing what you had planned. And it just depends on our summers, what kind of projects we have, how many culverts we got, whatever, every summer's kind of a different load other than your normal grass cutting and roadside maintenance. So my best guess, I would say we'll be doing it this year and we'll save that money.
Could you maybe make a mental note about moving forward, say in the 26 budget, how that worked out for you guys this year?
Okay.
Just if it works out where you're doing it for half what something out cost.
What does your orange machine do? What's that one called? That's not a crack sealer?
That's a Durapatcher.
That's a Durapatcher.
It shoots gravel and emulsion out at the same time. It's more for filling holes, any kind of pothole, or if the spot in the road is what we call an alligator crack, it looks like the back of an alligator, it goes all over.
Right.
We'll put that material down because it'll sink in there and it'll bond and it'll be a smooth patch that covers the whole thing. If you just do that with crack seal, you'll just have a big tar spot that'll be slick.
Okay, I get it. The crack seal is what we hate as motorcycle
Yeah,
drivers.
the
It's
snake
just the
on
black
the
tar visible with no
Right,
grip.
right.
And when you turn on it, it snaps
Right.
it.
And our machine,
Okay, I got
puts down the stone with it to bond and to fill any voids. So,
Got it.
yeah, it's a similar machine, but it's not the same.
Okay.
The only, I'm sorry, the only, purchase that I have down here is an auger attachment for a skid steer. Just, like post holes, whatever. We've rented one and borrowed one from Morgan Township numerous times. It's something we should have our own, in my opinion.
So that fund is 100 over last year's, give or take.
Yes, but the revenue is also.
Okay. And that includes pension costs this year, which it wasn't in this bucket last year.
Last year, it didn't have enough to cover all that. So I tried to keep it as simple and keep all the personnel expense coming out of one account to make it cleaner.
Sometimes we don't have a choice, but they
Right.
shift.
Until this year, we had to split it every time, but
Your outdoor attachment, that's brand new
yes.
from CAT or, what is yours? Yours is Bobcat.
It's a Bobcat,
It's a
yeah, you
Bobcat.
can buy, I will price them all around, you can buy all kinds of brands for attachments.
Is the vehicle fuel that's on this one and not in last year's in a different spot?
Yeah, so
Okay, so it's coming.
the vehicle fuel is in the previous one we just looked at. That's what I meant by, a lot of the things are in the same.
Okay, gotcha.
So I moved them around so that I could keep all the employee costs in one account to make it simpler.
Okay. Yep.
So those are the two funds that basically pay everything out of except our contract. So the next three funds, vehicle license fund, the district tax fund, and the permissive, we're doing it differently. This is the way we used to do it all the time until we had to do something, but so all of these funds, all of the revenue will go towards our paving contract. That's why I put the same number as revenue as expense. Because our paving contract is more than those three funds bring in. Which if you look down there at the 200,000 and the note beside it, that's the additional money we need for this year's paving contract. And it will come out of the carryover that we have in all the funds. Which I don't have that number as part of what we'll have. But it's somewhere in the 600,000 range.
When you add them all up. And again, that is a moving target as well, but theoretically. Printed it, I don't think I got it off the print.
So the total expenditures is $1,034,000. The revenue was 900. But that is simply because of the paving contract. And what we have going on this coming summer.
And that's the carryover that's.
The carryover will cover that, yeah.
Printed it, I don't think I grabbed it. Good.
Well, somewhere in the $600,000 range of carryover, cash in the accounts.
Okay.
So it's no problem paying for that.
And your budget this year is actually 66K less than what it was last year. Good, thank you. We're working on that. So as long as we have carryover, in spite of the fact that expenses outweigh revenue,
Right.
we're still ahead of the game.
Right, and we only need to do that because our paving contract is $435,000.
Is that unusual? Is that an unusual?
It's-
High year?
Not really with the cost of paving now, but I mean, we won't spend that the following year, but, yeah. Sorry. I lost my thought there, I don't know, but yeah, that paving, contract is 400 and something, and these funds don't, that's where it comes from. If you look at the balance sheet, like there was 61,000 left in the, road and bridge, and 3,000 in the other one, so really only 135 is coming out of our carryover, not the full 200. Did follow me.
he started the year with a combined total, his carryover was 693,000. I wouldn't expect it to be considerably lower, if anything. They've had a pretty good year as far as holding the line on it. They haven't had a lot of, well, they did have some equipment issues. Even in a worst case scenario, we still have probably $500,000 at the most conservative. And again, when I hand out those appropriation reports for everyone to look at, it's kind of hard because it's all the funds together, but there's always an unencumbered balance. And that's what eventually becomes. And now I will, once we are into 2025 and we know what the final carryover is, we will do a permanent appropriations measure. And at that point, I then encumber all of the money. I don't let it sit out there in the cloud. I encumber it so that if there's an emergency, God forbid, there should be some sort of natural disaster and we need access to money, we don't have to wait to go to the budget commission to get it. So it sits in the contingency. There was a time when we didn't used to encumber all the money, but it's just, things are a little precarious these days. So
then looking forward to 26, we're still in a good spot.
Absolutely.
Assuming there's no bad.
And also, 2025 is paving Black Road, correct?
Yeah.
That's the last road of any significant length.
Yeah.
And after we have the budget hearings, I will take the sheet that I've given you guys in the past that show you what the carryovers are. I will do my best to update what the current revenue situation is, what the current expenditures are. They will stay green. This is normally coloring green. And I will continue to update it periodically until I close the year in 2020. I close the 2024 year in 2025 and we have a hard and firm carryover balance for each department.
So as far as, paving contract being up this year, I don't anticipate it being out of our scope of paying for with the regular funds for the next probably 3 years. I don't see us needing to spend that kind of money once we get this Black Road done. We did so much with the ARPA funds and over the last 5 or 6 years that all of our longer outside roads are in great shape. There is the 5-year capital page. Only thing I had put on there next year that we're paving the roads, that's an obvious one we talked about. The only other expense I have in the 5 years is to replace a plow truck in 2028. We'll be replacing a 2008 model to be 20 years old. And it's becoming a money pit. I think we'll make it that long. I hope we'll make it that long. But
How much is those?
225. We just paid 212 for the one we bought last year. So I put 225.
Is there a waiting period on those like there was with the EMS unit?
Well, last year I had it in for 27 to buy it for 28, but when we bought this one, we got it the same year and he's assured me, he said, that's in the past. As long as if we buy a Freightliner, which I've been very happy with so far, so we should be able to get it no problem in the same year.
You okay? You feel bad?
I'm fine. I don't know why.
Yeah, deep down it sounds like.
But
It's this building.
yeah, I don't.
It's the admin, man.
I got sinus problems, but I feel fine. So, if you have any questions over what we went over, I'm ready to go to the.
I'd like to thank you for being prudent in your budget because those ARPA funds have happy money for a while.
Oh, yeah.
But one,
For sure.
I think where a lot of people ran into problems is not realizing that that's gonna run out and they keep
Right.
spending money that they didn't have. So I appreciate you working
Yeah.
ahead on that,
But it was also
budgeting accordingly. You
the
both
county engineer giving money to each township was
Very good.
above and beyond anything that he could have, would have been expected to do, so.
We have one plow truck and one pickup?
No, that pickup truck was, previous, we already bought that. That was in 22. Okay, so,
But pickup does do plowing like in subdivision?
are you talking about what we use?
Yeah.
No, we have three, big plow trucks.
Okay, I thought we had more.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We have a 2008, a 2014, and a 23 that we just got. Then we have a 450 dump truck.
so we're looking at replacing one of them by the 28th.
Yeah, that'd be one of the larger ones.
Yeah.
International. Yeah, we're set on pickup trucks and small truck, we're set for a good 10 years on that.
Always cross your fingers, yeah.
Anything else, Pete?
I have nothing.
No,
Okay, move for the adoption of motion number 24-151. Retired to executive session to discuss the employment, promotion, or compensation of a public employee in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1, and the time.
6:56.
Second,
You have one?
discussion, roll call.
Trustee Blower?
Yes.
Trustee Young?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee McGurran?
Yes.
Hold for a moment.